Hi, it's a beautiful overcast day. Another beautiful overcast day in Kitchener. And today I wanted to talk about goals. In the previous video, I was talking about the time of sessions, how many sessions it usually takes for counselling. And of course, the answer is there's no usual. It really depends on the client. And that really is the same for goals. The goals for the counseling and therapy relationship, it really depends on the client, and it changes. It always changes based on where the client is at any given moment. And so the goal starting very often changes midway, and it shifts. And so what you find is that at the end, the goals that you were working on with a client actually were completely unaware to the client at the beginning, right? The client comes in, and really the ultimate goal of therapy is to gain more insight, right? To gain self-empowerment, to gain self-insight, self-awareness. That's always the underlying goal, because really the work that we do is entirely about learning about the individual and learning about the client and building that. But I'll talk a little bit about some of the common goals that usually come up, and I want to preface this with a challenge. I want to challenge the viewer when thinking about their own goals for psychotherapy and for counseling and for spiritual direction, for whatever work that they're doing. Think about what your goal is going in, and be open that the goal will shift and change over time. So, with that being said, some of the common goals I often see, they usually come in several categories. So the first type of goal that we usually see are the vague goals. These are goals that they come up because the issue is vague to begin with. There's a feeling of unhappiness. There's a feeling of discontentment. There's a feeling that something's wrong, but I'm not sure what's really going on, and I just need someone to talk to uncover that. So that is the goal, is to uncover what's wrong, right? So the goal is, I want to get better. I want to feel happier. I want to feel and be in a better place. Very vague, there's this idea that, I'm coming in because I want it to be better, right? So it's not concrete, but there is that underlying idea that something's wrong and I want it to change. The other type of and category of goals are very specific goals. And these are, I know exactly what's wrong with what's happening in my life, and I want it to change, and I want you to tell me what to do. I keep seeing these, and to be fair, I mean, when I did my own therapy years ago, I came in with that as well. This is what's wrong, and I want to change it, and this is what we're going to do. It often doesn't work that way, of course, right? So, but I think that's also a very common kind of approach too. I mean, when you identify a problem, especially for task-oriented people, and especially in individualistic cultures like Canada, this is a problem, and so this is what we're going to do. It's a very medical view as well. You don't go to a doctor without expecting them to say, oh, well, this and this is wrong, and then to give you pills, or to give you a new diet, or to give you an exercise plan. Same with personal training. This is what's wrong. I want to get to this weight. This is how we're going to do it, and I want you to tell me how to do it. In counseling, that often can't happen because we understand that the goal will shift the more that comes up, right? The mind is very, very good at hiding things on us. It's very good at that. And so what often happens is, as we begin the work and as we really get into the work, suddenly what was wrong changes to a symptom of something much deeper. Okay, I'm having marriage problems. Okay, I'm realizing that it's not my wife or my husband that is, or my partner, that is the problem, that really, I'm dealing with stuff inside I wasn't even aware of and projecting out, right? So those shift. The third type of goal that I've noticed, and it kind of fits into the vague category, but I want to find out if there's anything wrong with me. So there's a little bit different there. There's no awareness of something wrong, but I'm concerned that there might be something wrong, and so we're going to look and see if there is anything wrong. Now, this is actually a decent goal. I think this is, I mean, we don't go, again, we use the medical terminology. We don't go to the doctor for checkups unless we want to see if there's anything wrong, right? What can often happen with this, though, is that if we go through and there doesn't seem to be kind of anything pressing, sometimes with some clients, what might happen is they may begin to exhibit signs of needing a problem or needing an issue, and that gets into very specific kind of work, right? But that being said, the majority of clients, I would say, they come in, it's a checkup, and a lot of actually former clients, I spoke a little bit about this in the previous video, clients who want to come back and they just come in for a checkup, and just to kind of test the waters to see, they just need that, they just need that relationship, they just need that kind of process to just go through and bounce off to see. And for some people it actually really works very well. So I would go in for my own checkups, and something always happens. Counselling and therapy and one-on-one work, for the vast majority of people, I would say you come out of it changed in some way, right? So those are kind of the three major goals that I often see, the categories of goals. And then, of course, what happens is those goals will shift based on what you uncover. And also they'll shift based on on the type of work that we're doing. So I had an experience with a potential client. They ended up not wanting to come and join me, but their goal was very specific. And I went through the process of explaining that what counselling was and what the work would be like, and they wanted answers. What they really were looking for was somebody to give them information, to give them to tell them what to do. And counselling isn't that, right? Counselling is about me assisting and guiding you to understand what you need to do for yourself, right? Because I'm not you. I'm not my client. I'm not in my client's head. I'm in my head. I know what I need to do in my own life. Sometimes I just need assistance, that mirror. I need that reflection to bounce ideas off of. And it's the same with clients. They just need that other external to test, to challenge. That's another important bit, and I'll probably do a video about challenge at some point. But there's just that external presence there. And so often what will happen is, with that goal in mind of I want you to tell me what to do, that never works, because what's happening underneath there is there's the subtext of, well, I'm not important enough to make that decision, or I refuse to accept responsibility for making that decision, and I need somebody external to myself to blame afterwards. That sometimes is what happens as well. What sometimes can happen too with those types of goals is the person, and I've certainly been there myself too, the client is sitting in a place of just not knowing what to do. And so they just want somebody to suggest or guide or tell. And it isn't a case of of the client not wanting responsibility. It's that they just literally have no idea. So then the work is to build that awareness that they are the expert in their own life, that they are the person who has all of the information. They may need, little bits of information from the outside, but they're the ones who have the capability and the sovereignty to make that decision. But usually that takes a little bit of work to get there. By then, the client is ready to form goals that are going to work for them, that they're going to work towards, with the understanding that it will shift and change and be changed as the work progresses. One of the worst things that can happen in a therapy relationship is when the goal is so connected, when the client is so connected to the goal, to the point where the goal becomes the focus of the work. The client is unable to change the goal. The client doesn't want to change the goal. And I don't mean a healthy goal, I mean an unhealthy goal. So when the unhealthy goal, when the attachment to that is so strong that the client is unable to consider changing it or moving it or shifting it or reevaluating it, then we know that it's an unhealthy goal. Then we know that it doesn't matter how much stuff comes up, it doesn't matter how much insight is gained, the attachment then becomes this fixation, and then we have other things to work on. That is always a possibility. All of these goals and these types of goals are always a possibility, but that's what makes this also very dynamic too. Every single client coming in, sitting in my chair, is a unique, full-bodied individual. They are bringing a whole forest of tools, potentials, issues, solutions. All they're an ecosystem in themselves, right? And so, as a counselor, one of my goals is to almost be like Richard Attenborough, or David Attenborough, I should say, not Richard Attenborough, is to be that explorer, assisting them. But I'm walking alongside the client to explore their own ecosystem. And along the way, the path may change. To continue that analogy, the path may lead to a dead end, in which case we'll be forced to reevaluate the path. But eventually, new paths are formed, and that's what goals are. New goals are formed, new ways of looking at it are formed, and the insight shifts that. I hope this has been helpful. I'm really enjoying doing these videos. I think that they're certainly very helpful for me to think and talk about these as well. And so I hope that you will check back just down on the bottom here, right here at PaducahWellness.com. That's my website. I'll be posting more content on there. Hit subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Bye-bye.